Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla, bringing you another episode of Car Rides Wit SLA. And today, we have a bit of a rebound to present. I finally think I'm back in the swing of things, at least a tad. I have had some thoughts today that are pretty interesting, so I have something to talk about that probably should be reserved for a dedicated video, if I'm being completely honest. But it is what it is. It's on my mind now. I'm gonna talk about it now. I've for a long time been very worried about my future. I've always been that way. I have had a finger on the pulse of what's going on for a long time. So, what does that mean? Well, in the 2010s, when they're talking about house of living, cost of living prices being high, and innovative ways to try to combat that, we have this concept of turning old train cars into houses. They're very small. It's obviously environmentally friendly. Instead of having these giant train cars sit and rot, they can be turned into tiny mobile living situations. So that's good, right? And I was kind of laughed at about that by my family. I mean, them thinking it's kind of silly, or that maybe I wouldn't have to deal with it or something. I'm not sure exactly what the situation was with that. But, hey, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? I was kind of made a little bit of fun of over it. But it turns out I'm right. Because now we see that not even 10 years later, House of Causing... Did I do that again? House of Causing. What on earth is my problem today? Cost of living has continued to balloon. So people are living in cars, doing all kind of crazy stuff. So now the train living seems fine compared to having to live in a car. At least if you have that old storage container, at least that's something, right? Now we could get into that a lot about why it's happening, but I want to touch on to the main point I wanted to talk about, which is the upcoming changes that will likely affect society. AI is obviously going to change things pretty drastically at some point. It's very easy to just gloss over things and talk about, oh, a robot's going to mow your lawn. Now your lawnmower guy doesn't make money anymore. Oh, a cashier is going to be replaced with a robot cashier. These are things that, while consequential, they might happen honestly later along down the line, or that's probably not even how things are going to manifest. And it kind of glosses over and I think stupefies things a bit and makes people have arguments as to how things will be. And then it makes, oh no, that's never going to happen. That's silly, because they are silly, because that's most likely not how things are going to get implemented, right? It's not that a physical robot is going to directly replace, we're not going to have humanoid robots walking around. It's going to be pretty discreet, and a lot of the technology is actually already here. So it's really only a matter of time before the system starts to get abused in the way I'm going to describe. So I think I'm doing a bit of a rough job kind of articulating what I wanted to articulate. So I'm going to try to get to something a little more clear now. But I do want to say that at some point I had heard arguments claiming, oh, the AI thing is overblown. It's not going to be that crazy. Some people try to, AI is at a limitation. It's not going to, they're having a hard time making it better. I've heard a lot of people try to dismiss it, and I kind of agreed. I thought a lot of that logic sounded right, but I'm coming out and saying I think it's incorrect. I think people should definitely be alarmed and afraid of what is to come. Of course, people are not. What else is new? But I'm going to explain why. The way things are going to start to change in society is society will become very cold, very optimized oriented. There's going to be a lot of scarcity that is going to start to really hit people in the face out of nowhere. A lot of the problems we have are only going to continue to get worse. And so our government is eventually going to have to, and companies too, because remember, at this point, corporations and stuff and stuff sounds horrible. I was really trying to avoid that. Corporations at this point are almost like a second government in the sense of they're necessitative for our function. You need to buy food, you need to buy a phone, most likely, right? I mean, I guess some people might be able to get away without a phone, but you really have to assume you need a smartphone nowadays just as a basic tool, just as, a rite of passage in society. I think it would be very difficult to function without a phone, and not even just a phone, but particularly a smartphone. I think to not have a smartphone is a little bit crazy. So these things are rite of passage. These are all in the hands of corporations. So you can basically say that the way a corporation's policies are or costs are is similar to the government in the way it governs culture and affects culture. So I think there will be somewhat of a joint effort between both government and corporations for this. We have very good already tracking technology with smartwatches. You can see how much you slept, how much you're exercising, and at some point that's going to be a requirement and it's going to be exploited. Meaning, if you track yourself and show good habits and good data, your health insurance premium will be down. Because you're not going to be as big of a risk. Whereas somebody where their data shows they're not sleeping right, it shows that they're not walking enough, their health insurance premium's going to increase. See what I mean? Because things are going to get rougher and rougher and rougher, and this is just what's going to happen. This is the trajectory of things, right? That's just how things are going to go. People and these companies have every reason to do this, because if you think it's going to be about the greater good, it's really not. It's just going to be an additional reason for companies to charge extra. Like, basically, to put it into perspective, I think someone like me, I might end up paying 10% less on my car insurance and health insurance because I obviously operate very meticulously with both might shave off around 10%, something like that. But I have a feeling people who are unhealthy, they could just they could be bombed. It could be a 50%, 60, 70% increase, because if there's not regulations put into place about it, that's what the companies are going to do. They're going to milk it as hard as they can for profit. And it's going to probably be under the guise of a moral system, which I don't really want to get. I haven't really thought about it too much yet, but there is some ways you can justify this morally, but there's also a lot of ways you can make arguments against it. I think it's too much to unpack in a single car ride, but in general, it's something we're not used to. Now again, conveniently for me, I already live in this scarcity conscious mindset. So I'm not really going to be too shooken up when this happens, because I already know what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to be unaffected, but I think a lot of people are really going to be milked every last dollar out of them with these systems, and it's going to be difficult for a ton of people to adjust, and I have no idea. It's going to be difficult for a lot of people to adjust, and I have no idea what the consequences of that will be, because there will be, and people are just not going to be happy. It's going to be a smack in the face. I'm telling you guys, this is recorded. So I don't know how soon it's going to happen, but in a decade or two or so, really, this stuff is on the horizon because there's so much high cost and scarcity. It's going to happen. People are going to start to get desperate. And there's going to be more and more of a glaring need for a fixed system. Now here's why my mood and my spirits have been lifted. Because obviously, I'm realizing I am already very well suited for this. There's probably people who live better than me, but for my age range, I think I'm near the top of people. There's only a few things I directly need to work on, which is lifting weights and directly running. I've been meaning to get into those habits, but I haven't. Besides that, I'm very near living it basically as optimally as possible. So I'm not really going to be the future for me. Things could get rough, but I'm not really the person who's going to be affected by it. The people like me, and there are few, it's not really going to faze them because we're already used to living the right way. Buying our food as groceries, trying to be as efficient as possible, gentle on our cars, taking care of our things, not dropping phones and breaking them and needing repairs there, not spending $10 on a drink, let alone solid food out. We're going to be way ahead of the game. And already kind of are, because while the masses are mindlessly caught up in all this stuff, I'm still living properly. So really, it'll be rough. Things will get rough. But for me, I'm used to it. The way I'm living is completely fine, right? I'm not really going to have to change too much. The people who are going to be hit the hardest are the people who have a very inflated lifestyle, where they're used to, on a regular basis, getting food out, eating fast food, because those things are going to become government penalties or even corporate penalties at some point, because it's going to rack up your health insurance. The people like me are going to be very ahead of the game. And it's going to be the people addicted to DoorDash who are the ones who, living this pompous lifestyle of not even needing to leave the house, not needing to pre-plan anything at all. Those people are going to not know what's coming, and they're going to get hit so hard. But again, the people like me who try to take care of their stuff, nothing bad's going to really happen. I mean, things will get worse. I think things will get a lot worse, but we'll be safe. Now, in addition to that aspect, the way jobs is going to change dramatically. So I mentioned AI is going to come in and it's going to take jobs, but it won't take all jobs, and there's definitely still a need for humans. For one thing, and I forget the specific wording of it, but I believe it is directly conceptualizing things AI is not that good at. And I noticed this when using AI. AI is very good at taking what a person has and expanding it, but it's not really that good at directly striking something. So, and art has been this way for a while. If you look at the historical progression of art from old to modern, things have gotten more conceptual now. The idea is often more important than the outcome or what you actually paint or create. So it's completely in line with the evolution of art, except it's going to be even more dramatic. And people who are good at conceptualizing ideas, even if they have no technical skill, are just going to be catapulted to the front. And that's the thing, is that's perfect for me. With music, I have so many good ideas that I come up with, but I've never been able to have the technical skill or discipline to actually follow through with a lot of them. And that's not going to be an issue anymore, because there's going to get to a point where AI will be able to execute and create all the music that I conceptualize to it perfectly how I want. It's going to be an ideas-based economy, not a technical work or skill-based economy anymore. It's just not going to be relevant. So a lot of people who are technical artists are really going to be out of luck. It's not going to be pretty. But you can even tell, I think, from listening to these videos, I'm all about language and coming up with ideas, processing statements and speaking them. And that is such a perfect thing for interacting with AI. I think if out of anybody I've ever known, and this is not an ego thing, it's just true. I am just so much better at interacting with AI, even interacting with technology to some extent. I've always been good at. But I think AI, because I still think there's some people who may be pretty comparable to me with technology interaction, but specifically AI, I've fit in so well. And the way I can formulate questions with nuance and detail, I've never seen anybody else do it, or with the passion that I have. So I'm not afraid anymore, and I'm not really worried anymore, because the future careers and people who will be useful are people who are really good at juggling a lot of technology, because it's going to be people who are monitoring the AI systems and making sure they work properly. And I have a feeling I would be picked for that. There's a lot of people I know, most people I know, who would not qualify for that position. Let's say, for example, you're monitoring an entire town's squad of robot lawnmowers, making sure everything's okay. That would be something people like me are totally suited for. Being able to juggle and monitor tons of things and look at numbers and calculations to try to subvert any issues prior to them happening. You could even, in the realm of therapy, I think I would be okay with being a therapist. AI is going to take that over, but to verify and to kind of double check things, to vet things out, that's going to be a skill a lot of people who are good with language and good with double checking things and catching mistakes. These are the kind of people who are going to just be on top of the world in the future. Lots of inequality is coming. That's what I will say. And at first, as I've listened to things more, I've realized that I'm more left-wing on economics than I thought. But I'm realizing I don't think it's going to matter. There is going to be even more inequality to come. You have not seen anything yet. Because all these systems are going to continue to optimize and exploit. And people who are good pick the right foods to eat, drive properly, exercise, sleep well, they're only going to be rewarded more. Whereas the people in society who are not good at those things are just going to get pounded further down. This will happen. I don't see how there's going to be any kind of a humanitarian response to it. I believe it's too late. America is so primed and prepped for this situation. Just be ready for more inequality. But like I said, I believe there's probably about 5 to 10% of people whose lives will just get insanely better. I mean, and I think I'm a part of that. And again, it's not an ego thing. And it is just a prediction, so of course it's possible that I'm wrong. But I think I'm being pretty accurate about it. I think there's going to be a lot of very tech-savvy people, but also language-savvy, communicatively savvy, who are going to be so skilled at interacting with these language models that, and AI, obviously, being able to juggle multiple tasks, it's going to be super important work and super relevant and essential work in the future, but not that many people are going to be capable to handle it. So it's going to create more inequality. We're obviously going to have to come to terms with a universal basic income. I think that will happen at some point. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised fairly soon, again, but it depends on how. I mean, it's not going to be good. I don't think it's going to be a generous UBI. I think it's going to be, again, like, I don't even know, 80% of the population is just going to, it's going to be problematic, and I think a lot of people are probably trying to figure out how to deal with it, but it's too much for one video. I think the final thing I want to get at, which will reveal all this stuff, and I'm going to say it now, and it's going to continue to be accurate. I think I'm absolutely going to be vindicated on this one. In the future, privacy will be completely non-existent. Nothing will be private. It will just be a foreign concept. everything that is done by everyone will be fully tracked and as a result judged. And that's why when this system comes into effect, people are just going to be randomly picked. They would look at me, see my sleep schedule, and see my diet and lifestyle, as well as my history of working with AI language models, and say, wow, this guy has a lot of potential, a lot of multitasking strength. But, right? And they'd look at that, and then I'd get contacted or something and picked to work one of those special jobs. I just have a feeling I'm not going to be left behind. And I hope so, but I'm going into it with an optimism, because I don't think it's very beneficial to not. Because remember, this whole time I know this scarcity was coming, and I knew this grave inequality was going to hit, but I thought I was going to lose. I thought I was worthless, had no skill, wasn't special. So I was preparing to be homeless. That's where I genuinely thought I was going to end up. But now that AI is around and I'm interacting with it and I'm thinking about these things, I'm obviously realizing I'm probably going to be one of the lucky ones. And it's so funny because I've been cognizant of this and worried and stressed about it, and I don't even think I'm going to be as affected as some people. And there's obviously lots of people who are totally unaware of it, and it's going to just hit them in the face. And it's so ironic because I'm assuming I'm not alone, and the other people being preparative, I don't know if that's a word, preparative, I don't know how you would say that. They're going to be rewarded. I'm going to be rewarded. I think so. And so, yeah. I mean, this is it. I think this is really, I would even say in the next couple years, we're going to start to see this stuff. Big increases in surveillance. People are probably not really going to realize it. Already as is, I think a lot of people are thinking that that's the case, right? With the, the phone camera's on and the microphone's on, listening always. It probably could be. I really wouldn't be surprised. But people are going to have to get used to it, because that in the future, it's just everything's going to be out there. Again, privacy will just simply be a foreign concept. It will no longer exist. It might exist for rich people who can afford to live a private life or something. But for most people, privacy is going to be such a thing of the past. And that's how they're going to implement all these systems. And it's really already the case. It's already the case that privacy is very non-existent. So it's a warning. I think it's a warning to people, and I think this video, and really a lot of my videos too, are going to obviously be testament to it. Even though right now the views are low, I think even if the views never take off, that's what's going to end up happening, is that at some point some AI is going to stumble upon it and realize things about me, and then I will be selected. But I don't think I really have much to worry about. I think I have unique qualities that will be very suited for the upcoming era. And I should just be grateful for that and stop being negative, because I do think most people out there, I think you have every right to be miserable and negative. And even for me, I'm still kind of contemplating it. I mean, I don't really know how fair it is. These systems are going to cause a lot of pain. And I still want to be better to be frugal. Like I said, I'm going to live broke. I'm going to live like I'm broke for the next around 2 years. I want to go through that, you know. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm not. I don't want to milk it just because I believe I'm one of the lucky few who's going to be okay. There's going to be so much pain coming. So much. And I don't really particularly like it, but I just am coming to terms with that. I don't really think much can be done. I think there's sort of a natural process to things, right? And this is obviously happening. I just can't see how it wouldn't happen. We have 2 political parties, and both of them would really end up implementing these things to one extent or another. I think, obviously, you have a alleged conservative party and an alleged traditional conservative candidate, Trump, who is actually going full force with all this stuff. I mean, I think he's going to platform it. Like, a lot of these ideas are becoming apparent during his administration. Now, if Harris had won, it probably would manifest similarly, just under different rhetoric or different framing, but I think the same concepts would still have penetrated. Now, you could make the argument there's certain candidates, like possibly Bernie Sanders, or even in the Republican, I don't know enough about the Republican candidates who ran to know for sure, but there could be like Republicans who also would be against this. But it's just one of those things that I really have a hard time understanding how to deal with it, because even if America did deal with it in a humanitarian way, you're still going to have other countries who end up doing it and not care. Everybody's going to be doing it. So if you want to stay competitive, you're going to have to use AI as well. And even in there's just no way to deny it. And I think it's pretty simple. I mean, even this is just such a clear, obvious trajectory of things. I can't really see how it could be stopped. Now, if it is stopped, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Because I'm already trying to live rough. I'm going to try to live broke, like I said. But I'm also going to be prepared if this stuff does end up materializing, which I just think is more likely. I mean, I guess you can try to be optimistic that humans will be warm and continue to be humanitarian, but I truly do not see things going in that direction. I don't. I mean, a lot of people are struggling now, and you are seeing momentum towards more further extreme left-wing economic trajectory and momentum, but it could be too late. It's possible. I could be wrong, but I think this stuff is going to end up happening. I do. I don't really know that the party that wins matters, and I just think humans didn't mobilize soon enough. And now we have to deal with our lack of political engagement and political discernment. And this is the result. This is it. I don't think there's anything else to it. This is going to be what we know and deal with moving forward. There's just nothing else to say, really. I don't know. We'll see if my predictions are right. But I don't know what to tell people. I mean, I would say try to get more tech savvy, but if you don't have the brain for it, you don't. And I don't really know what's going to happen to people. And it's kind of upsetting, but like I said, I think it's almost an unavoidable end result. I don't know. This seems like a natural cycle of things. Well, how's that for an episode? Ending on a bit of an ominous note. Theodore's Witch Law. Today we talked about some of my predictions for the future, which will be cynical for some and potentially better for others. And where do you think you will fall in that? We went through future technological developments and how people are going to be left behind due to AI. What do you think you'll end up? Anyways, it's been Schla. See you later.